It's Grace, and in this video I'm going to talk about something I find a little funny but at the same time not at all. And one of the most recent things that I heard about this was that somebody who's my age, I'm around my age, I'm 55, this woman's in her 50s, this was online, and it was that what would she know, she's geriatric. The term they used was geriatric. The whole thing says quite a bit right there. And, what I've heard more and more of these days is, what do people around my age know about the internet? Okay, I think the question might be more, on the point of, what do they know about it? Okay. Let me see if I get my facts straight here. The computer itself was built when my mother was a child. I think she was around 9 years old. Okay, the World Wide Web, some would just call it the internet these days. But I think there was a separate date for both of these. But I had already been a pioneer woman in what was later called the World Wide Web. Okay, myself. I had my first computer back in 1982, I think, or 83. I learned how to program in BASIC. Do you know what BASIC is? And I've mentioned some of this before in an earlier video, that back then, those of us who were online and linking computer to computer and things like this, we were called a dirty four-letter word. What was considered a dirty four-letter word back then, and that was geek. Okay, and yeah. Dirty four-letter word back then. We called, and I mentioned this before, we called the other ones, other people, we just called them non-modems. Some people these days probably don't even know what a modem is. So, and there weren't all back then, there weren't all that many, sure, from my generation, and it's later years that not just my generation, but younger generations started using, cell phones, computers, and, the internet and all of these kinds of things. So it was basically around the same time that people started getting online, okay? Besides a few of us who had already been doing all this work. So we do know the origins kind of thing. We were there doing this kind of thing. So what would we know about the internet? It just kind of, like I said, I find it funny, but I find it at the same time not. Because if you're going to accuse people, a whole generation, it's all baby boomers, they don't know anything. Wow, get your facts straight, okay? I mean, I could be wrong in some of mine, but yeah, at least I was there. And anyway, at jobs that I worked at, I went from being whatever I was hired for. I was made to, some people just call it a troubleshooter, but it wasn't. It wasn't just a troubleshooter. No, I was basically figuring out what people did wrong. I mean, some people said, well, that's a troubleshooter. No, it was much deeper than that. And even when I was 45, that was the last job that I worked with people, in an office. Well, in an office environment. I've worked since then, but, and they kept saying the boss was just a little older than I, and his supervisor was 7 years younger, I think. And they would just, in meetings and anywhere where they would have a problem, and I would tell them, they said, how does she know that? How does she know that? They would scream out, how does she know that? Well, let's see. How would I know that? Yeah, because I knew it from the beginning onward, okay, on how you do this and how you do that. And I was basically, like I said, sitting there, they would have these different programs to try to figure out what were people doing wrong. How had people gone wrong on what they were doing. Like I said, it was more than one job that I was hired for a different position, but that's what I would wind up being. It's like a little computer guru for them. That was years ago. Like I said, in 55, it was when I was 45, the last one. But, yeah, so it does make me laugh when I hear this a lot. It's what would the baby boomers know about computers? What would they know about the internet? Mainly about the internet. Now, I can tell you that I know that programming is not just downloading apps and setting your notifications I'm well aware of what programming is and what is coding. So, what would we know about it? Yeah, I'm just one person, and I can't be thought of as an example because, like I said, back then I was called a dirty four-letter word, geek. So, I do actually know things like some people, there's fields that you really need somebody who's very educated in this, who really knows what they're doing. And trying to train people could take years if there were an interest. And these are these so-called geriatrics. Well, one is very close to being a geriatric. Now imagine you have all these fields where nobody's interested, because I would think, and this is, someone would say this is a conspiracy theory, but no, I think it's more of a theory of that is hypothesis that they don't make as much money as if they went into that area. Yeah, in programming and coding, they just wouldn't make as much money as maybe making apps. I don't know. I could be wrong. But anyway, really, in truth, people need to stop talking like that. Seriously. You need all generations. You need all levels. You need people who have been in the field, who can help people who just got into the field. And you need new, creative. It can be at any age. It doesn't have to be somebody who's young. You know, at any age, people can be creative. But to keep it going, people need to know from the ground up. They need to learn about that. They don't need to separate people at different ages and say, oh, well, that person has nothing to offer, and because that person's a geriatric. That's so the wrong term. But yeah, you know, that they don't have anything to offer, or that the young people don't have anything to offer, or the people in the middle don't have anything to offer. Everybody has something to offer if they do actually have something to offer. To bring to the table, to make changes, to keep things going. But that whole thought of you're too old to know, maybe you're too young to know. Okay? Like I said, that kind of thought, it doesn't need to even be out there. It does not. You're too old, or you're too young, or you're too this, or you're too that. You don't know everybody. You don't know where it began, or some people don't know what is the latest app out there and how to use it. Seriously, I mean, some of the things, I don't use my phone all the time, or my iPad all the time, you know, my Android, or my, what is it even called? I don't know the terminology these days, but I was there the ground up, okay, seriously, and learned quite a bit over the years that some people would never know, you know. I'm just one example, and I'm not representative of the whole. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I just thought I'd get out today, and before it starts storming once again. It stormed so bad. We've been having construction, remodeling done, and yeah, all of a sudden we have water in the attic. In the attic. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. If you want to subscribe to this channel, click the circle. If you want to watch another video on this channel, click one of the rectangles. Like, subscribe, comment, and share on your own social media if you would, and I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.